In 1909, North Carolina witnessed the dawning of new technologies in agriculture, spearheaded by a charge from the U.S. Department of Agriculture for states to improve farming practices.
And it was felt that in order to introduce new technology, it might be easier to do it through young people who are a little more receptive to new things than the adults were. And so it began that way. They were first called the Corn Club. They were trying to introduce the hybrid corn as a way. And so they got the young people to use hybrid corn, and the adults were receptive to it.
After seeing the successes of boys and their corn crops, ones that often outproduced their parents' crops many times over, these new corn varieties soon took root. The first Corn Club program director, I.O. Schaub, and his successor, Thomas Brown, then expanded the club to include poultry, pigs, and livestock.
4-H members were known to try new things on acre corn or some other crop. And then, generally speaking, the farmers of that neighborhood would probably follow what they saw through the 4-H projects. So they were really kind of innovators and really didn't know it.
That same innovative spirit brewed in girls as well. Jane McKimmon, for whom the McKimmon Center on NC State's campus is named, led the first tomato canning clubs and the home demonstration program for the state. Here, girls learned about food preservation, cooking, and sewing. In 1914, Congress passed the Smith-Lever Act, which provided federal money for state cooperative extension services to enhance work in agriculture and home economics. The North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service was headquartered at the state's two land-grant universities, North Carolina State University and North Carolina A&T State University. In the 1920s, L.R. Harrell united the boys' clubs and the girls' clubs, and the group officially became known as 4-H. During both World Wars, 4-Hers used their skills to support food production on the home front, growing victory gardens and participating in the national Feed a Fighter campaign.
We had victory gardens and had scrap iron drives during the World Wars. And I think 4-H has always responded to sort of the needs of the nation as well as those of the community.
As North Carolina became more urban, 4-H broadened its programs to include areas like photography, fashion, horses, and science.
4-H was in the schools, so your extension agents and things would come around to the schools. They would probably come about once a month. We participated in the public speaking contest. We did demonstrations. And of course, we did community service projects and things like that. So it was just wonderful.
Until 1965, 4-H across the country had been two separate programs, one for white students and one for blacks.
Camp Mitchell, as we know it today, was the camp where African American young people went. So you had people like John Mitchell, who was very instrumental in helping to negotiate that particular area. They established a foundation to help support the club. And then you had, people like Bill Cooper that actually worked with putting the program together there at Mitchell. That made it a wonderful experience.
My children were crazy about the camp, and we would raise money for them to go to camp. We would sell candy, cookies, and I'd go along with them, and we really had a good time.
Just as in other communities, I feel that 4-H in the African American community actually just opened a number of doors of opportunity for young people to enhance their knowledge and learn the skills that would enable them to be productive citizens.
For many, State 4-H Week marked the highlight of the year. 4-Hers from across the state gathered for educational programs, competitions, and awards. White students met on the campus of NC State, black students at A&T.
We came to Greensboro, stayed on campus. You would have about 800 or 900 young people from all over the state that attended that. I think it was an important part of our lives. Most of us 4-Hers that came, we were coming from rural areas. So, I mean, just to experience a college campus, just to experience, Greensboro and the bigness of it.
With the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1965, 4-H, like many other organizations, had to integrate.
People from the Civil Rights Division came down to Raleigh and said, you will have to integrate your camps this year or close them. I said, I can't do it this year. If you'll give me 3 years and let me work into it, I will be able to do it.
He was able to integrate the 4-H camping system, which today we look back on and think, that's not a big a deal, but it was a huge deal. Because what you would have are two groups coming from the same county on buses. One bus had white children, the other bus had African American children. And they would come to a camp where in the county they were separated, but in the camp they were together. And I think that's a great history part of who we are in 4-H.
Since its inception, 4-H has helped shape the lives of hundreds of thousands of North Carolina's young people and build leaders locally, nationally, and beyond.
When you think about what the impact's been on North Carolina, you think about the leaders that have served this state in elected office, people like former Governor Bob Scott, or you think about former Governor Jim Hunt, two well-known names in this state, who had a tremendous background in 4-H.
Martin Lancaster, who just stepped down as community college president, the late Jim Graham, Elaine Marshall, who's Secretary of State now.
For decades, 4-H has sown the seeds of hard work, hands-on learning, and leadership. And for that, the entire state is continually reaping the benefits of innovative young people. So what began with kids and corn has grown into a movement synonymous with success.
Everything that's positive, that is 4-H.
4-H is the world today. You can learn anything out of 4-H.